The Real Housewives of Dallas reunion turns into a trial. It seems like LeeAnne Locken versus the world. And we're here to talk about it right here at AfterBuzz TV, starting now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
She's back.
Okay,
Right? I know. DJ Richie Skye.
20-year hiatus.
Yeah, I know.
Who isn't back? Even little Kim, who I love, is back. I'm happy to see Kim back
I
in the
was
music
too.
video.
As soon as the single came out, I downloaded it.
I watched the
like
video
it.
at 900 times. I don't know why, it's not even that great. Anyway, welcome to the After Show Kids for the Dallas Housewives. We're all still here, full panel to break everything down. We just love talking about this show. Like,
We do.
I look
I
forward
love
to this.
it.
So, yes.
That's why I chose this song, because I felt like LeeAnne should just say less.
Hey, I know.
Well, here we all are. You guys can find me at all times on my podcast, Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk.
Yes, welcome back, y'all. I'm Rachel Robillard, and y'all can find me on social at Rach_Robillard.
Hey guys, I'm Jessie Zahner. You can find me all over social media at Athletic and join us now in the live chat on YouTube.
And I'm DJ Richie Skye, and you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at DJ Richie Skye.
And before we get into the breakdown of all this, I want to ask you all your overall impressions of this reunion, the looks, and the kind of what happened, it's kind of the feeling of this reunion. I have a bone to pick with this reunion.
You said it right. I mean, I definitely felt like LeeAnne was the victim in this situation the entire time. I mean, her entourage, Cameron and Deandra weren't, they were kind of silent the majority of the time when the three girls were going at her. Like she was in the hot seat.
Yeah,
LeeAnne was in the hot seat.
I totally agree. Like, I think it wasn't quite a fair fight because I think Cameron did a good job of stepping in every now and then, but she was silent for the most part. But Deandra, the one thing that I love about her is she always does call it like it is. So she wasn't standing up for some of LeeAnne's behaviors, whereas like Stephanie, Cary, and Brandi were like so united on the other end of on the other couch, So it was everybody against LeeAnne.
Right?
I felt like the reason I said she should say less is because I think that at a certain point, after you've continued to apologize and apologize and apologize, like at a certain point, I'm not apologizing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not. At the end of the day, I'm not because you're not, so I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the boy who cried wolf. Like, how many times are you going to say sorry for us to really believe you're genuinely sorry?
And I felt like she almost went into the reunion almost beat down.
Yeah. Right?
That's
I felt
the
that.
sentiment that I got just throughout the whole thing. And I hated it. I hated that for her.
Yeah.
And I wish that Andy had been a little bit more. The questions
Don't even
seemed
get
to
me
be
started.
more anti-LeeAnne than for her.
Yeah.
This show, here's my opinion. This show completely misses the mark because public opinion has LeeAnne looking really good. I mean, look, we had her in here, and we won someone over on this panel to Team LeeAnne this season. Like, people love her.
Yeah.
So it's what we're seeing on television is not mirroring real life and social media and what has got the show a second season, which is that person, LeeAnne Locken.
Right.
So it's weird that where everyone, they just can't throw enough shit on this woman, really. But yet the people are Team LeeAnne. They don't want to see. They're not caring about Brandi and trying to have Brandi settle a score. Like, that's not what people want to see.
Right.
So it's annoying to me. In my opinion, the reunion was completely unnecessarily vicious. Andy let Brandi get away with murder. When LeeAnne could speak up for herself, it was just met with the usual back and forth with, that's an excuse, you don't change your ways,
Right.
your word doesn't mean anything. So she couldn't have a conversation with anybody. Cameron was there, but I thought when she didn't raise her hand, that was tough. That was a moment that she could have really just been like, all right, look, I'm going to cover this girl who's literally being dragged and dragged and dragged across this stage. Now, I write this article over on realityt.com for anyone who's interested, and I looked at the comments because I was curious, because I wrote this article unapologetically very pro LeeAnne this week. And usually, I don't claim to be a journalist, but I try to just give,
unbiased
try to
opinions.
go through. But this one, I was like, you know what? This is my perception, and I wasn't going to defend bad behavior on the other side.
Right.
Now, granted, someone could say, well, LeeAnne, this is bad behavior and defending her. I'm like, well, too bad.
Right.
But my article to bed. But the comments were really, I would say 3/4 of them were against LeeAnne. And they were saying, you know, like, she doesn't take any responsibility, and she's delusional, and she's extremely dangerous. They sided with the right side of the couch. They were siding with the right couch. So I was genuinely really surprised. I feel like we all are united front up here.
Yeah, but going back to what you said, people love LeeAnne. She does have a fan base, but also people love to hate her. I have really picked that up. People love hating this woman, which is also what people want to see.
Right.
You
You
know?
have to have a polarizing character or
Totally.
polarizing characters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's got to be some heroes. There's got to be some villains.
Yeah.
And a really good villain is one that you absolutely love to hate.
Right. Yeah, and I've noticed on all their Instagrams, LeeAnne has the most followers. So it's not like she's the first
Interesting.
one to go. LeeAnne, I was very curious last night. I was like, okay, like, you know, she was ganged up on, exactly what you said. But yeah, people love her and then love to hate her. I know a lot of those followers. She has over 200,000 followers, the most amongst all 6 of the housewives that are probably following her to love to hate her. You know?
No.
It's interesting.
I had one other question because one thing you mentioned, Grant, was who did you guys think looked the best? That's like one of my things. Like every reunion, I
Right.
rate people,
Looks, yeah.
and we have people in the chat. Charlie in Charge said she liked. Well, I think it's a she. It might be a he. Brandi's curly red hair, and then
Yes.
Mike Hollman said Stephanie got dressed in the dark. So, what did you guys think of everybody's looks?
I
for
thought
the
Stephanie
Did she
looked
break-
good. I
It
like the blue.
Did she break her arm in that dress? Did you notice? It was like a sling.
Yeah, yeah,
Are you okay?
yeah.
I think she felt like she needed a pop of something because the dress was just kind of like, you know, I don't want to say it was plain. But it was simple. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like she thought maybe that would add a little bit of
Yeah.
flair to the, you know, otherwise simple, understated dress.
Yeah.
I liked her
Yeah.
dress. I think honestly, I really liked Cary's look. I don't, you guys know how I feel about her most of the time, but I loved her look. I don't know why. I have
agree.
no idea why, but I just found it fascinating. Like Brandi's hair, it stood out.
Yes.
I loved LeeAnne's complete look. I mean, she
I
went
totally
exactly
agree.
from what we talked about when she was here,
Right.
with the sort of warrior princess hair.
It was
I
the
loved
hair.
it.
I noticed
she
the
kind
hair.
of reminded me of Cleopatra a little bit with the outfit. Cameron, I wasn't a fan of her look.
I think
Her
it was
hair.
a standard
It was her hair.
look.
I
think it was
would
very
have
standard.
preferred the hair with the like hang down, parted down the middle, like when she was on Watch What Happens Live. Thought she looked phenomenal right there. Deontra's dress, I wasn't the biggest. I guess
did
it was
she
a
wear?
jumpsuit.
I think it was a
I don't
jumpsuit,
even
yeah.
remember.
I wish
There's
that
a photo
it had
of her
been.
in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was something about it that I felt like it didn't sit as well as it did standing.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Is how she was, you know, she has pictures on Instagram, her standing up, gorgeous.
Standing
but
up,
the
it looked
way
amazing,
she was
but when she
sitting,
was
it
sitting-
wasn't the most flattering.
Exactly.
I do
Exactly.
agree, and I'm looking at one of these photos here on the show.
But I
and
loved all the
it's- I can
sequins.
see it, yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Brandi's dress, I kind of felt like it made her look a little bit boxy. I could have done without. I kind of liked her look overall. The set was very interesting to me because normally they don't have dark sets like
That was a
Yeah, it was
super
very
dark
dark.
set.
I
yeah.
love the
But
green
they were
couches.
well
I want
lit.
one of those so badly.
They
in my
were
house.
very well lit, so I can't hate on it.
Yeah. I thought they had a lot of interesting things in the background of them talking about set direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the green couches. I want one of those in my house so badly, but I live in a very small
And he's quite the
studio.
interior
Oh,
decorator.
thank you.
He really is.
Thank you. I would love to have one of those. I think they have like the tufted backgrounds, the tufted backs, like great like texture for the camera. I loved that. The set, yeah, it was a little masculine. They had like the cow skin rug and yeah, I don't know. It was shot in New York. They went to New York to shoot this, as she even said when she was here. So overall, it was okay. You know, I like set direction. The show, let's talk about it. So
Yeah.
here we go. So everyone's prepping for the reunion now. This is like the new thing. We get to see everyone try it. Not the new thing, but we have to see everyone get their hair done and show up looking like shit, and then they get their makeup
The
on.
glam.
Yeah. So Cary is ready to mind dump on the set. Okay. not the most
Yeah.
feminine, perhaps, like not the nicest way to open. I'm like, please don't. And Brandi is walking around in slippers, ready to beat a bitch up. And I was like, well, that basically sets the tone for her.
Tone, yeah.
She feels like she's some badass now, I guess, on this show.
Brandi
Who?
came off,
Brandi?
yeah, she came off very monotoned at the beginning. I was like, is she going to deliver? You know, I wasn't expecting her to really.
Oh, okay.
She came off like really relaxed, like that evil eye, and then she went at it. That's how I felt. Like she was like, "Are we gonna get something from Brandi?" I didn't really know at first.
I thought she was on fire.
Yeah,
I really did. I thought, but I do
In a
kind of,
good way?
and I do kind of feel like she's a little full of herself these days. Maybe that's not in a bad way, but maybe it's kind of like I don't know where this sudden surgence of power came from, but I think it's probably more or less from the fact that she has Stephanie and Cary on her side.
Yes.
I feel like
She has
they,
an
like you said,
entourage.
they came in a united front, and as you'll notice from the beginning of the season, she was a completely different person from where she is now.
right.
Without her battery pack.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was gonna say the same thing because I know when I came in here, and you and I were talking the first episode, I mentioned that about Brandi. I didn't think that she was going to be able to stand on her own, and that's why I thought that she was siding with LeeAnne. But now I don't know if like it's that she has those two on her side, or that Andy positioned her next to him on the couch, and so she's like, oh, well, I'm like Queen Bee now. So, but yeah, I definitely think from the beginning of the season till now, she's like totally changed power-wise. Like, it's interesting.
Do you think they did a good job with how they seated each housewife on the couch? You know that the 3 against 3.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think that was pretty much to be expected, just
Yeah.
because of the way the season went. So
That's how it was the entire season.
Yeah.
Whether they were at dinner or at their parties, it was always the 3 against 3, and how they
Yeah.
sat. And it's interesting they kept that going.
Yeah, I don't recall a Housewives having an even number of housewives in a long time.
Yeah, that's a
Right?
good point.
So anyway, Stephanie is moving into that home in January, she says, and Brandi's not pregnant because she's now premenopausal and didn't miss a second to slam LeeAnne.
Yeah.
Shade. That was some shade.
Setting the
Dang.
tone. So the first package, a video package, was about Brandi. Well, it was about all the fun they had all season, which lasted like 2 seconds. And then the next one was about Brandi and Stephanie's falling out.
Right.
And it also included the infamous Two-Face costume. So Stephanie, she re-clarifies that the Bravo blog that she wrote was about Travis. No, it was about Brian, Brandi's husband, coming to the party drunk, and that was the slow motion car crash, not their marriage. She told that to us here on the show, so I was like, I follow.
Yeah.
And it was true. So Brandi says she admits that she was jealous and she didn't feel important to Stephanie, and Stephanie says that LeeAnne was bullying and attacking her in her own home in that costume. Okay, and so that's like strike 1 against LeeAnne. Like, it's the first hit, which I think people. I mean, look, I get people saying like probably isn't the best thing to go into someone's house and disrespect them. So I can follow, but she didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. And they all
Well-
took a poll, like, is her anger management helping? And, only the 2 girls on her team said yes. I mean, what do y'all think? Do you think her anger management has been beneficial this season? Has it been helping her?
Okay, here's the thing. The whole thing with the costume, I feel like because we're filming a show, like something's got to happen. Like something has to happen, otherwise that party there would have been nothing going on at the party.
Right.
If she had not shown up in that Two-Face costume, what else would we be really talking about from that event? Nothing.
Yeah.
However, I do love what D'Andra had to say, and she kind of dissed Stephanie a little bit when she said it, because she said it, if she's not as much of a boss bitch like me, I would have kicked her out of my home. That's what Stephanie should have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you think about it in the context of a show, if you react, I need to react, because that makes a good show.
Right.
Otherwise, if you don't react from what I did to you, then nothing happens.
Right.
We don't have anything to talk about.
Right, and that's why I think she's so frustrated. She has to play this game with these people who are not willing participants, and anytime she throws the ball and no one catches it, she looks like the wild and crazy person.
Right.
Exactly, and so then they all come back and
It can't
attack
be
her.
fun. It can't be fun for LeeAnne, especially at this point. We'll get into that
Literally
later.
saving
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
carrying it on her back mostly. LeeAnne does call Stephanie out for being so condescending in her confessionals, which is true. We've talked
Yes.
about
Finally.
that.
Yes.
She called her mean, ugly, and rude. And Cameron asked Stephanie if the flesh-eating bacteria was funny, and that was quickly regretted.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you gonna say? If you're Stephanie, what are you gonna say?
I love how it's just so easy for them to just be like, oh, I cringed when I watched it. Okay, and like no apology,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
It was just glossed over.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
she never said any of the things she said in her confessional.
Right, but if that was LeeAnne,
Oh my God.
everybody
Yeah.
would
It
be
would
going
have been a
off, right?
trauma.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Very true.
So LeeAnne says that she wore the conversation to get a conversation started. So like we were saying, reaction. And then she says it all goes back to the PTSD she had in her childhood.
Yes.
So then they had a whole conversation about that. D'Andrea wasn't excited about her pulling it out when it was convenient. Then Brandi's brother suffered from it. LeeAnne only talked about Rich's PTSD, not her own, which Brandi took umbrage with.
Yeah. Yeah, and Brandi got teary-eyed from that moment too, talking about her brother.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, LeeAnne, again, she owns this. She says, that she doesn't feel like... Cary says that she feels like it doesn't change her behavior, despite saying she suffers from PTSD, just didn't do anything about it. That was another common theme in all of this, how she owns everything, but yet she never can change her ways. And Brandi finds it, so much I want to say, I'm going to save it at the end. Brandi finds it convenient that, took the PTSD in season 1. She only said it was about Rich. And then LeeAnne says to be careful.
Yes, and Brandi took that as a threat.
Yes.
A threat.
Not be very careful. Cary had to be very careful. Real careful.
Yeah.
Real careful. Yeah.
Real
This one,
careful.
was that a threat? Was LeeAnne threatening her? What was she telling her to be careful for?
Anything she says is a threat to them. They like they could find a threat in like they
A
wouldn't
glance.
last a second on any of these other shows.
Oh yeah, for
No.
sure.
Right?
Could you
Hell
imagine?
no.
Brandi started the reunion off by walking through the venue stating that if anybody called her trash, she was going to beat them up. Now, does this sound like somebody who's actually afraid of somebody sitting on the other side of the couch? Nobody
Right.
brought security with them, oddly.
And that has happened on these shows.
So, where's the real fear here?
Right?
You're sorry, they wouldn't last a minute. on
Wouldn't
one
last
of
a
these
second.
shows. On any other show, whether they're viewed as the funny one or
Yeah.
the light one or the high drama one, like no other one.
Wouldn't make it on OC.
Wouldn't make
Never
it in New
make
York.
it in Jersey. Never make it in New York.
Never in New
Atlanta,
York.
never.
Oh my god.
No.
God, no.
Yeah. But LeeAnne could hold her own in those cities.
Oh
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. LeeAnne's playing with like a kindergarten class when she should be in 5th grade. Like, I don't know what to
Exactly.
say,
Right.
Exactly.
But I don't want to hate on the other girls though, because I do enjoy them, especially the new ones. I still don't know how I feel about Cary. Stephanie, I'm okay with it. Brandi, I'm off the Brandi Land train officially after this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still on Brandi train. I still love Brandi.
It was
I
too
do.
ugly to me. It was just too hateful. Like,
She was
there's so
allowed
much-
to be too ugly to me.
She was
What's
what?
that?
She was
She-
allowed to
Allowed?
be too
I
ugly.
agree.
Like,
agree.
she was allowed to be a lot more vicious
Totally.
than anybody else. And I
Yeah.
just felt like
She had a lot to say.
she did
Yeah.
have a lot to say.
Yeah,
Good.
and that all comes down
And I
to
don't even dislike her.
controlling the conversation in the reunion. Just saying. That comes down, when you allow someone to go so far and be so hateful and allow it to really just be one person attacking the other and then the other person defending themselves back and forth for like 45 minutes, that's when you have to look at who's hosting, just saying. So, Cary is...
Shit.
Cary is a no, I don't say that in a mean way, but as a host, I mean, I'm not saying this from my experience. I never host a reunion. I'm just saying, like, you have to take control of these shows.
Right?
If not, it's just mean. It just turns. They're just gonna keep going lower. It's like
Yeah.
if we were to get in a fight now, we would start here and we would just go lower.
Right.
You
It
know?
seems like Andy took a back seat. Now that
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like he was just kind of like I don't know, not present.
No, I totally agree. There's times where he just sat back and I was like, he's just like loving this, I guess.
Yeah.
Like he's just letting
Yeah.
it go. Because a lot of times he'll get upset at the reunions, and here he was just like, whatever.
I will say I do get angry with him though sometimes when he doesn't let things play out. I've said that on AfterBuzz for
Right.
so many times. So I guess he
Now
let
he's
things
let it
play
play
out.
out, yeah.
So all right, I'm eating my words. I'll own it like LeeAnne. So so Cameron is a real person, and Andy just you catch these looks. Andy, she's explaining the dog food. She's explaining her
Yeah.
life, and he's just
Are you a real person?
like.
Like that was a tweet. Didn't he say that? Like a tweet. Someone was asking if
Yeah.
she's like a real person, and if she's in a make believe place. Like,
Bubble,
Yeah, she had a bubble. That's what it is. A bubble.
I want to live in her bubble.
Someone
do
like
too.
her can. She doesn't have to worry about money. She doesn't have to worry about anything.
We should all be living
Yeah.
in our own little bubbles.
Yeah.
We don't, but
Right.
Well,
kudos to her for
living in
doing
LA,
so.
we kind of do. Living in LA, we kind of do. It's a little bit of a different bubble than like Detroit, Michigan. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like we live in
I
a
only say that 'cause I've
liberal
been there.
world. It is we do, but it's not full of pink bubbles and rainbows and.
Well, that's what I'm
Yorkies
talking about.
and
and-
I'm
quartz
talking
money.
about pink bubbles and rose. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the bubble I want to be a part of.
Yeah. We all need that. At least for like one
Right.
day a week.
I know. I like
Yeah.
7 days a week. 24 hours a day.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go
I
to
mean,
visit Cameron. Oh god, I would love to be in that house and see like what she's got going on in there.
right. And she said the dog food's doing well, but as we've talked about, there has been some negative reviews
Yeah.
within the whole dog food.
Yeah, and it's so
franchise.
funny because one of our viewers said, I was all about the pink dog food, and then one of our viewers mentioned, like, oh my gosh, now the dog poop's going to be pink. And so she said that they had to change it because that
Right.
was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So.
She had to integrate some brown dog food.
Yeah.
People magazine did a
Yeah.
test. One of the writers had his
Oh,
dog
no.
test it, and it was positive.
Oh, good.
that's
It
good.
was good.
Yeah.
It was a
Okay.
positive review. Yes, he said, like the dog didn't have any problems. The
Good.
dog enjoys new food, so the dog ate the food fine. We finished the bag and all that stuff. Apparently, I don't know if they finished the bag, but
I meant
they
to
ate it.
order us some.
Oh yeah.
so
I
you could eat
forgot.
it.
No, all of us.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of us.
Well,
All
we
of
Because
us.
I've
have
never
one-
ate dog
We have
food.
one more reunion, so
Yeah.
it's not too
I'll-
late.
Yeah, they
Too
also
late.
I'm on it, guys.
they also sent the People magazine article that because he has Prime, he got it in 2 days. So if you have Prime, look at that.
I have Prime.
Hey!
I have
And we,
Prime.
then look, we can have as
Winner.
early. You can be eating dog food as early as Friday. Can't wait. So Brandi resurrects the fact that Cameron should be put in a pageant. And Cameron fires back that it's okay for Brandi to judge her, but God forbid Cameron judge Brandi. Another accurate point with these people.
Can I just say something? I'm not against Brandi by any, because I feel like she adds a lot to the show.
I agree.
I wouldn't-
want her
I
fired.
don't want her
No,
fired
no,
either
no.
because I like her feistiness, but I don't like the mean girl side of her, which she clearly displayed with Cameron, and it was clearly okay with everybody else for her to be that way for Cameron and to clearly proclaim that she was crossing her boundaries,
Right.
even though she knew that those were the ones that she had set. But if the shoe had been on the other foot with someone else on that side of the couch, everybody would have had an issue with that. Why is that okay? Like, I wasn't clear on that. Nobody stopped that train from happening at all.
Yeah, she
And
called
she-
her Big Bird, and
Like
then
literally,
another
like
fire
those,
with the trash.
that's the viciousness that I was kind of talking about
Okay.
earlier.
Yeah, that didn't
You
really
need
stop.
like an other middle housewife that is kind of on both sides that will vouch for either or. That's vocal. Like that would have been a place for Deandra.
I was wondering where she was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
I felt
was.
that, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
So they throw around the Sesame Street nonsense, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Big Bird and
Oscar.
Oscar.
I was
and
happy for
trash.
Cameron for
Yeah.
going right back at her with
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
I feel like she had that like ready to go.
Yeah.
She
They
definitely
both
had
were.
that ready to go.
Yeah, I think so. Then the zip codes come back up, a topic
Yep.
we love to discuss on this show. Cameron clarifies that it's not about where you live, it's about where you act, how you act. I mean, everyone's like having to be so responsible for their behavior. At the end of the day, they're on a reality show, and we're not talking Jersey Shore, we're not talking Vanderpump Rules. Like, the behavior on this show is not that deplorable.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Not really.
not really.
But I did notice that Stephanie was absolutely trying to absolve herself from this whole dildo chasing incident. Like,
Oh,
she
really?
was adamant that she was not the one doing it.
Yeah.
And Deandra and LeeAnne pointed out, you guys all both were a part of that whole situation.
All doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know if Stephanie's being genuine when she talks by the way she looks away. Do y'all realize the way she talks? I notice it a lot in this reunion, like the way she would look away. And I know it's something maybe she can't,
She's like not like
Yeah,
consciously doing.
yeah, and yeah, she does that. She just does that naturally. But the way she'll like
see
look
it
to the
now.
side makes me be like, are you being genuine with what you're saying? With her
Yeah.
apologies, like when she
I think she's carefully
said
choosing her
sorry about the
words.
flesh-eating bacteria. She's like, I didn't mean to, but it's like, I know that's just don't know.
I agree, because in the confessionals, she gives off a different like vibe or like attitude, where you're like, okay, that's really what she's like.
Yeah.
You know, but then when
Wow.
everybody's in front of her, it's like a different story.
My problem with her when she explained herself with that was that she said that she was trying to be funny, and she even mentioned in a video on BravoTV.com that Travis had gotten upset with her because he was the butt of a lot of her jokes, and she says that when she's in her confessional, she's trying to be funny. You don't. There's no trying to be funny in the confessional. I've seen the questions that they ask. I know how that goes. You just answer the question.
Yeah.
However you feel.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't want to disparage someone, you just don't do it
Right.
unless you're absolutely trying to do that. So my thing is, don't try, just be.
Right.
You know.
They talk more about like how you have to be part of Dallas society. You have to be in Dallas, and Brandi has a residency, and
Her horses live in Dallas. Her horses live in the zip code. I thought
was a
that
good
was
one.
funny.
Yeah.
That was good.
So then LeeAnne says that Travis attacks her on Twitter, and as well as Mark, but Cary thinks she denied it immediately, of course, which is like the worst sign. It's like, no, he never said anything, and then it's like, oh yeah, no, he did, and it was funny. You know, it's like you can't be that quick to deny things. You know, it shows that. What else are you just writing off?
Right?
Everything.
That's actually, yeah, she did that. Like, no, I didn't say that your doctor killed on the operation table. Like, very fast. You know, that's, yeah, another thing she said.
Yep.
And then she kind of admitted that she didn't say it about Brandy's specific doctor, but about the doctors she was looking into. Did y'all catch that? So
Yeah.
she
Yes.
admitted that she said it about one of the doctors she was potentially going to go to get her mommy operation.
Right. They
I
wrote
feel
that
like,
off quick.
is there some type of medical professional etiquette wherein you are a little bit more sensitive to how you talk about someone else's losses in the industry? I just feel like if someone in the industry were to say, like, if I'm a medical professional and you come to me for advice and you say, which doctor should I go to, then I'll probably look at the list and I'll probably say that's the best one. I'm not gonna go into
Trash the
Yeah,
Trashing
tell you why not
the
to.
other doctors.
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, her explanation for this made no sense, because I'm thinking to myself, if you there's no need for that.
Right.
Just say, I would choose this person.
Yeah,
I
I
know
totally
their work.
agree.
I've seen it. It's awesome. That's who you should
point.
go with.
Yeah.
These are my top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy breezy.
Right.
Before we talk about medical stuff, did you find it sweet, like Cameron did, that the dildo was left behind? Like, okay, sure. So that storyline's over.
Yeah.
Cameron doesn't have much to bring back in her second season. The dog food's done.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about her personal life. She's now okay with Brandi because they're going to respect her boundaries. They're leaving the dildo out of it. So
I need more from Cameron. I don't. Season 3, I
do
need
too.
more. I need
Yeah.
more. I want to know more about her. I feel like exactly she's living in a pink bubble. I want to know more about her background, more about what she plans to do in the future. And I love Court. I love the husband. So bring Court. Like,
yeah,
bye, Mark. Let's get Court up in here. I want to get more Court in the next season.
totally. So they have this therapy package of LeeAnne. And Andy asks, by a show of hands, we already talked about this.
Right.
Yeah, who thinks she's changed? Nobody, except the other two. And so basically, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, LeeAnne mentions that the way that she says things that are, like, threats, she relates that to the way Cary and Mark had their moment at that gun range where they said if they had a gun in their house, they'd kill each other. Which even Cameron was like, you don't really believe that she's really going to kill you. Like, it's a figure of speech. And if she could figure it out, why can't the other 3?
They don't want to figure it out.
Yeah.
They want to remain.
I just feel like they want her off the show. I feel like LeeAnne called it, and
You know
that's what
what?
I feel.
They can take LeeAnne off the show, and they'll be taking themselves off with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Leanne's the
show.
She's the ringleader.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at content, if you were to look at like a review or our show and you boil down like how much we're talking about other people other than LeeAnne, we're here for what, 45, 50 minutes? I mean, how many minutes are we talking about someone that's not involved in LeeAnne's storyline or her or something she did or something someone said about her? Like, she's the show. So it's a shame because we'll talk more about it in News and Gossip, but who knows what the future is for her. Anyway, let's talk more about it. So Brandi says that she was so scared driving LeeAnne to surgery and that she was going to almost have got into a wreck in her husband's car. And then she said that LeeAnne was screaming at her. Now, Don't you think this would be on the show?
Yeah.
Why did we
Right?
see any of
I
that?
know. Did you guys have...
Why would they
And
cut
she
that
seemed
out?
relatively fine when she was driving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Why would they cut that out? For what reason? You know what? We're gonna keep the hands coming in. We're gonna let her call Cary the C word in one episode. We're gonna take all the screaming out
Yeah.
of it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy it. And so I'm like, all right, Brandi, so you're lying. So what else are you lying about? I feel like I'm Judge Judy watching this show. I do. This is like a trial. This is like a mediation.
Right.
With like
It felt
two
like
groups
it.
of
Who's
women.
lying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's two groups of women and the mediator in the middle.
Yeah.
So
And then they go talking about what happened behind the closed door at the doctor's office.
yeah,
And
yeah.
LeeAnne was like, I solemnly believe Brandi was egging me on. She was asking the questions for me to give a response. And that was the response about the hands. And LeeAnne admitted she doesn't remember talking about the hands, which I find that really interesting because she's all about the hands now. For not remembering about the hands, I feel like that's like her go-to, motto now. They're more than just hands. Or
Well, that's like her
Well,
line.
yeah.
That's like her Teresa Giudice. Like, what's her book called? It's something, but like,
turning the tables.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right,
So I
yeah.
feel like that's her
Yeah.
thing now.
Well,
so
she's
just gotta
embracing
go with
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
embracing it. True,
Yeah.
true.
So
But-
Deandra says a few things about LeeAnne. She says, that LeeAnne flips out when things don't go her way, and that it's really only her words and her mouth and her vernacular that gets her in trouble. True. Deandra even said later in the episode, she's like, I don't understand what LeeAnne does that's that bad on this show. So she is really riding hard for her girl, and I'm glad.
So Deandra, what is?
Deandra, yeah.
Well, she is threatening. She is threatening, like the lives of the other housewives. Like
LeeAnne
I
is
totally
intense.
see where Brandi, Cary, and Stephanie are going, and if they don't appreciate the threats, why doesn't LeeAnne just stop? Like she keeps going, and that that upsets them. So why keep doing it? I totally understand from their point of view. Like, hey, stop with the threats. You're definitely threatening me, but she's still doing it.
I remember on Real Housewives of Atlanta when Nene told Kim she was gonna pluck her eyeballs out, and then in my mind, these shows, I mean, they're about women in conflict, and I think that a lot of, again, half of that couch wouldn't make it on any other show,
Right.
because they're so timid. And I feel like, just as a viewer, I feel like Cary should be thankful to LeeAnne for giving her so much this season.
Yeah.
I do, because I felt like LeeAnne brought out a side of Cary that we had not seen. She brought out a ferocity in her that I feel like, particularly towards the end of the episode, that we needed to see from Cary.
But it wasn't the most positive light.
It wasn't
from
the most.
Cary.
It wasn't
Right.
the most positive, but at the end of the day, it was something,
Yes.
which
Right.
makes for. I mean, I'm just looking at it from a TV perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we have to watch? What do we have? Who do we have to root for? And Cary could have been somebody that we rooted for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you have an anti-hero, and then you're gonna have a hero. Which one are you gonna be?
Right.
Don't be a coward though.
Right.
Yeah, don't be like a limp noodle.
Because what are you doing on this show? We know
Yeah.
what the show is about.
Yeah.
This is not like, we're not playing Tiddlywinks here. This is this is a
Tiddlywinks.
game of chess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
When
Hey,
LeeAnne,
It's Game of Thrones.
when LeeAnne was here, I don't know if it was
a
on
cat fight.
I don't know if it was on the air or after, but she was like, I really want our show to be like that of New York, where we can come together and
Yes.
have fun, and then
I
we
feel
have
like
our
that's
riffs.
what she's anticipating.
That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
she wants. Yes.
And the other three, I guess they just really want her off the show. Like, they're not playing on the same playground at all. So it has to, I mean, like I said, it has to be awful for LeeAnne to keep doing this, because she's just, everything she does to try to advance the show. And granted, maybe they are some stunts, the throwing of the glass, whatever. But I mean, she's doing more than most, and that's, these shows are iconic for certain moments and certain reasons,
Like
whether
that,
they're
totally.
amplified or not.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
going down in history.
Put Bethany or Dorinda in the place of Cary. That situation would have gone much differently.
And then you can
know what
really
I'm
choose,
saying?
and you can really choose sides with
Yeah.
You could, I
Totally.
mean, because then it's kind of like, okay, neither one of these women are going to back down.
right.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a good,
Yeah.
sort of matchup. But, or even Tamra, or, a Vicky, or Shannon, or, you know what I'm saying? Somebody
Yeah.
that can really go back at her. But
Yeah.
sadly, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Then
They just get frightened.
There's all this conversation about how LeeAnne feels that each other's end game between her and Cary is to get each one of them thrown off the show, and that LeeAnne apparently told Brandi not to be friends with Cary. So then that whole thing comes up, and even Cameron defended LeeAnne, saying that she never said she could be friends with Cary. So that kind of diffused that. Good thing that Cary said that. I mean, Cameron said that. And so when it came to that video that we were talking about, Cary said her heart sank and she was scared for her life. And you can imagine that LeeAnne is like rolling her eyes with this because she doesn't want that. LeeAnne does not want that image of being a dangerous person out there just because she's doing the show.
Right.
So like all these damning comments, and Cary knows that. She knows that if she says, I was afraid for my life, I was so threatened, maybe she really was, but also it lends to the fact that they want to make this woman like look crazy. They want her to feel and look crazy, and it's really working. And even D'Andra even kind of admitted that. Like, here we are because of what you said, and now you look this way, and now we have to talk about it. So, I don't know. I'm feeling for LeeAnne, kids. I'm feeling for her.
I want another person like LeeAnne on the show.
Yes.
I think LeeAnne needs someone that has the same energy as her on the show. Like, Tiffany.
That's why I was.
Tiffany was like a D'Andra.
But I kind of liked Tiffany's like. Tiffany had a
She
wild
had
side.
sass. Yeah,
you know
she
what I'm
had
saying?
sass.
They fought.
She wasn't afraid at all.
Yeah.
And she wasn't afraid to go back and forth with LeeAnne nor Stephanie and Brandi.
Yep. Brandi gets really mean at this part towards the end. She says that, LeeAnne's never going to change and that it's just a pattern that she's in and that your word isn't worth anything. And, for someone who was once friends with someone, why were you friends with LeeAnne if you feel this way about her? You know what I mean? Like, what qualities were good when you were in with her?
Well, the real question is, what kind of friend is she in general? Because if you could do that to Stephanie, then we see what you do to LeeAnne.
Right.
Who's next? We saw what you did to Cary too.
Yeah.
You have a good point there. You have a really
I think
good point there.
Brandi's a lot more insecure than she lets on.
Yeah, and I feel like Brandi really latched on to LeeAnne because she was missing Stephanie.
Exactly.
Like it's pretty, to me it's obvious.
She needed somebody.
Yeah.
She didn't
She
know
needed a new friend.
D'Andra or Cameron, and it couldn't be Cary because that was Stephanie's new BFF.
Yes.
So who else was it going to
Her
be?
ride or die.
Yeah. I don't really respect that too much to use people. Just saying. I don't do that in my life, so it's not happening. Then later, Brandi calls LeeAnne downright nasty, and LeeAnne says that, here we go back with the dildo, that Cameron found it downright nasty that you were chasing her. So she was trying to show that they both have bad behavior. But, this stupid dildo will never go away. Really? We're still talking about this? I can't. So then LeeAnne sits back, literally, she sits back and just owns it all. Like, she just is like, all right, yep, I own it. Once again, I'll take responsibility for my actions of my words once again. And she really was like, at this point, completely beat down. I probably would be the same. But just at this one moment when she feels like, all right, I have nothing left to give, Andy passively says, so when are we going to bring Mark out?
Oh my gosh.
What an insult. Now, look, I get it. I read the comments. People feel like, he has the chance. I've said this last week.
so
He
did
should be able
Rich.
to talk up. He should be able to speak up.
Right.
True. Yeah, Rich was
Rich
talked about.
deserved the same opportunity.
He was talked about.
Do y'all think it was fair though? From LeeAnne's point of view, she was very caught off guard. She did not know Mark was there and going to be brought on to the set. Do you think they should have told her that Mark will be joining y'all on set?
If they tell them that it's a closed set, then you think it's a closed set. So yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
So I feel like Mark should be there, right? Because he was on the show a lot. But they didn't tell her, so that's. Even D'Andra was like.
D'Andra, she really did.
I feel like she has a good sense about her. Like I've said before, like she's like the voice of reason here, and so even when she said something, I was like, yeah, that's weird that they didn't tell her. But I think that he should be there. But I agree. I think Rich should be there too because he was talked about as well.
Right. Why don't they have? They always have the bar stools behind the wives.
Right.
Each of the men sit behind them, and they have like what part 2 of the reunion. They'll come out and talk for 10 minutes.
And they even mentioned that all of their husbands and fiancés were there. So it's kind of just odd that he gets,
right.
Yeah, why him?
He's the 7th housewife.
By the way,
I was about to say, like, it's deja vu. We had him on last season's reunion too.
Yeah.
It's Real Housewives.
that's a
It's
good
not
point.
Real Housewives plus Mark. You know, as you said, like an honorary 7th housewife.
Yeah.
It's like, why does he need to defend himself when Cary should be defending him for him? That's
Exactly.
the whole point of Housewives. Let me talk about my husband and how you shouldn't be talking about him.
Exactly.
Why? It's like, can you not stand up for not just yourself, but your husband too?
Exactly.
Why does Mark need to come out
Particularly
and...
with another woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it was called for.
I know. I have the same problem.
But I
as
am
OC
looking
with the
forward to
men.
seeing him next week
Oh, yeah.
on the show.
Yeah. So one thing I want to point out on Twitter, I saw that someone said, "Oh, well, you know, I don't understand why no one told them that their husbands were not going to be there." And then Cary retweeted, "Well, LeeAnne doesn't have a husband," and LeeAnne retweeted that tweet. I'm paraphrasing, but it was not. I wondered why she was retweeting Cary, so it was because it was extra shady. That's why it was like a mean-spirited tweet. I don't know why do these women have to be so hateful? It's one thing to have a conversation and back and forth, but it's not entertaining. This is not entertaining to me. I was not entertained by this reunion. It was juicy in parts, and I appreciate it because I love the show, but I didn't find it entertaining because I thought it just got too low. I thought it got too nasty towards the end.
And they get really nasty towards each other on Twitter and social media, which I really wish what Bravo will do is kind of pull those tweets so we can understand what they're talking about, because not like myself, I don't know all the tweets they're talking about. Like they'll just be like, and you said this, you said this, you said that. It's like, whoa, the cameras weren't rolling, but it's just they're talking smack behind their phones. Like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel behind my phone. It's just like,
Didn't they have a moment where they couldn't tweet about the show at one point? Did somebody say that?
you would think, right, that they'd have to
I
be
think that
silent.
maybe the network had maybe told them to not do it anymore. And I thought I heard or read that at one point. But as a grown up, I've never gone back and forth on Twitter with anybody.
Yeah, right.
I can't foresee how I would do it.
Have
I haven't.
I? Have I? I don't know.
If someone were to tweet something negative about me, I mean, I don't know if it's better for me to be, as part of that show, for me to be active with it or to completely ignore it. I think my personality is that I'm going to ignore it unless I see you in person.
Yeah.
Then
You
I'll
know what I mean?
confront you.
That's the East Coast in you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
True.
let's talk about some news and gossip if we have no further thoughts.
do it.
Yes, let's do it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So while we're wrapping up season 2, season 3 has not yet been confirmed and picked up over at Bravo for Real Housewives of Dallas. I think it looks good, so I'm feeling positive about it.
I hope so.
You know, the ratings held. They might not have been stellar, but there were no big dips. Like, the same people tuned in week after week. The numbers really haven't changed. So that we're saying that's positive. But so they were already talking about season 3. There was a tweet sent over to LeeAnne. She said, "Is there going to be a 3rd season of #RHOD at LeeAnne Locken?" And LeeAnne wrote back, this is today, the 7th, and she wrote back, "I won't be there." And I read further that she said, "Well, you should be working with your charities." And she said, "I'm all about it, that and my wedding." So this is by no means any confirmation. There isn't even a 3rd season.
Right.
But all of this prompted a lot of conversation online. Did you guys hear about this?
No, this
I
was
heard,
today.
I heard about the tweet right before we got here.
Yeah.
I didn't follow up on any other details.
Well, I sent LeeAnne a text because I was curious, and I just asked her straight out. I was very curious.
Yeah, because last time we
And-
talked to her in studio, she was gung ho about season 3.
Yeah. She didn't really say much, but she did say that she was sad of how things have unrolled at the reunion, and that she said, "What you can say is please tell the cast to stop tweeting so negatively about me." So that's the message from LeeAnne.
Wow.
So I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, would you? Not saying that you would act like the way LeeAnne has, whether you're a fan of her or not, but like after a reunion like that, what the hell do you have to go back to that for?
Yeah.
You know? With that, she takes the show, though. I think that she'll be fine, and she'll get a big check and be fine.
Well, and would there be a show without LeeAnne?
Would there be a show without LeeAnne, right?
Why would Deandra do it if she wasn't on it? You know?
Yeah.
Not that they're a package deal, but I feel like what would she have to gain from
Yeah.
the show without her friend there? What do you think?
I hope she'll be back.
Yeah.
I just hope that I need them to add like maybe one more lady. You know, somebody to really spice things up, because I mean, otherwise it's just
We
really,
need an odd number. Yes.
do need an odd
really
number.
just gonna be that same trio doing the same things over and over again, and I'm really not here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need some more excitement. Like, mix it up.
Right. There was an article over on E! Online, and they interviewed LeeAnne, and she talked about the season ending and the finale, and she said she was really disappointed by the finale, and she's disappointed in how they made her, she says, I'm disappointed in how they made my engagement party because I tried so hard all season to bring us together as a group, and I know not everyone could see that, but I really did try to bring us together and make a cohesive group. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I said to Deandra in the beginning, but you've got this in common with Brandi. Talk to Brandi about military. Her brother was in the military. You've got this in common with Cameron. I was like, you've got this in common. I really tried to give everyone a way to connect, and at my engagement party, I really felt like I had been successful with that, and that's not how it played out. It was very disappointing to me.
I actually believe that to be true because when she was here in studio with us, that's when she was talking about, I wish we could be like New York, because like New York housewives, they all fight and they have their moments,
they go crazy,
but they're always like, they still are always together and
they're always
friends
invited
and
to the
whatever.
same
they
party.
go to dinner after the reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she truly does want that. Like, that's the feeling that I actually got from her. And then she made that speech at her engagement party. I know we talked about that, but like, I actually felt like it was genuine. Like, I don't think she wants to be best friends with everybody, but I think that she wants to be able to be in the same room without
Totally,
people like
yeah.
attacking her all of the time.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably the pinnacle in her career, and she takes the show very seriously, and she's trying to build this ensemble cast. She's probably doing more work than she should be doing.
I think so.
Right.
But she's nevertheless trying to make this work and trying to make this a big show. And I mean, she's out there, social media. I mean, LeeAnne is all over social media. She'll
Yes.
write back to almost
Yes.
everyone personally. I mean, she
Literally.
said it here on the show. So I mean, she's really doing the work, whether you like her or not. So I can understand where she's coming from, just being disappointed, especially with Brandi. Later in that interview, you can check it out over on E! Online. She talked about just how just shocked she was that what's her face, Brandi turned on her.
We even have people in the chat saying the same thing you said, Grant. So Krista Joe's in the chat, and she said that LeeAnne pulls all the weight and she's blamed for everything when she's doing a lot to bring high ratings to the show. And I totally agree. I feel like she is doing everything.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not playing with a full deck of cards because they
Exactly.
don't want to do
Exactly.
it. So it's tough. Anyway, for fun in these last few minutes, I've been carrying this around with me. These how much? Look, it's a little dog-eared, this paper. But,
Yes.
I just thought it'd be fun to see how much these women are really worth. This is all alleged. I mean, this is like from what source? Who the hell knows? So let's play a game. So Cary Deuber, with her husband, is the plastic surgeon, of course. You know, they say on here, I mean, we can guess, but they say that she's worth around $1.5 million.
I believe that. You know, they're both working. They're both hardworking doctors, and that he's making a lot of money,
Yeah.
fixing a lot of boobies.
Yeah, and don't they travel? Don't they go to Switzerland for like 6 months out of the year every summer or whatever? I don't know how you maintain a business and do that.
Yeah, I know they were making bank when he pulled out an $8,000 wallet for their anniversary, and then a bag.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, dang.
This sheet says that LeeAnne is worth $2.5 million, so double that of the Deubers. So much for her being the quote poorest one.
Yeah.
They really made her look so poor last season. She's so lousy. I feel like she should like take this 2.5 and buy like a really big house, you know. Deandra, they say she's only estimated $3 million, but I mean, I don't know. She has those two trusts.
That's before the trust.
Yeah, when she was mentioning oil and gas, I was like, whoa, cha-ching.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's.
Yeah, she's probably got more money than all of them. And her husband is reported to have a $3 million bank account too. So okay, and blah blah blah. Brandi is rumored to be worth between $3.5 and $4 million. I think this is like so inaccurate, but it's just fun to like look at. Yeah, because Brian works for a real estate company, and his career has helped to lead their money in the right direction. So we know she doesn't work, but we always have to take into account they make money doing the show. So yeah. Cameron's they say she's worth $4.5 million. I think she's worth way more than that. The Westcott name was famous, I guess, through all of Texas.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know, but she said like apparently it's a lot of old. They said apparently it means old money, but Court is a venture capitalist, and apparently he sold a program or something to Apple. So I'm sure he made plenty of money doing that. And then don't forget the dog food.
Right.
And Stephanie Hollman, according to this sheet, is worth $18 million.
I
She's
believe
number
it.
one.
Her husband
know,
makes lockers.
Like, and
Yeah.
she said, I was watching an interview with her, and she said, like, all lockers. They're like, I think if they're wooden,
Yeah.
they're all her husband's company.
Yeah, it says here stadiums and fitness centers. So stadiums, I mean, if you're building a new
Amazing.
stadium, you can imagine there's a lot of money going into the locker room.
Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting. Who really knows? But I'm gonna have to get over this reunion because it's a little down and negative for me.
Right.
But they'll be back. Well, whether we want it or not, we'll be back with part 2. And I want it. We want more.
I want it.
We want
Yes.
so much more Dallas that we're giving you a special bonus episode tomorrow.
Yes.
Who's coming in?
Deandra will be joining us in studio tomorrow.
Yes.
So y'all
Yes.
definitely need to tune in. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna get really candid with her. I really want to pick her brain.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
I want to chat, like, and just ask her like a bunch of questions, like not necessarily like we won't have to review anything, like no, like
Yeah.
recap.
Right.
We're just gonna give it a full season overview. You know, she was on a
Full
few
season.
episodes before, and she was great. So we're excited to have her. Let us know your questions. Really, honestly.
Yes.
I want to know about L22.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to post your questions on our YouTube channel for AfterBuzz TV Reality, you can put it in the comments underneath this episode, or you can tweet us. And speaking of such, where can we find you guys?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at DJ Richie Skye, and you also can find me on Bravo on December
Yes.
on
Hey.
Stripped.
Yes. Thanks for
Exciting.
joining us in the live chat, guys. I'm Jessie Zahner. You can find me all over social media at Fletchick.
Yes, we're so excited to have Deandra in studio tomorrow. So tweet me your questions at Rach_Robillard.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at It's Grant's Rants. And this week I was a guest on Friends of the Real Housewives podcast. So check it out if you like. We'll be back tomorrow with Deandra Simmons, and next week with part 2 and the big ending of season 2 of Real Housewives of Dallas.
Woo! Let's do it.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.